Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I'm going to be doing the Pluto square, the nodes. This is a big deal. I talked about this in the Aries eclipse video, where I feel like even though Aries is bringing in all this exciting new energy, I think the Pluto square is going to be a lot heavier and more um, felt more during this time. And we'll get the Aries new stuff throughout the years or over this next 18-month period of time while the North Node will be in Aries. So before I jump in though, I want to shout out my client who gets her weekly astrology from me. She sells hustle her clothing line. So if you see anything that you like, you think you might be interested in, be sure to leave comments on how to find her and connect with her, support her. I support all my clients and whatever it is that they're doing. And I got this from these two, from another one. It's not exactly a client, but I like their stuff. So if you want more information, don't hesitate to ask where you get your stuff from, and I will be more than glad to share that information with you so that you can support. That's what ultimately we're all here to do. So, um, yeah, man. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Click that notification bell so you can be notified every time we go live, family. I do appreciate you in advance. So, um, let me go ahead on and get my notes up because y'all know I can talk all day. So we're feeling this Pluto square, the North and South node right now. We'll be feeling it all the way through to the summer, but it'll be active through November of this year. And that's because we'll have another set of eclipses coming up. And of course, I'll go more in depth about that at that time. But rest assured, for the next few months here, we will definitely be feeling this Pluto square the nodes. The peak of this is going to be from April to June, which we'll be experiencing in the fixed sign. So it'll be a fixed square or T square. And from July to August, we'll be feeling the cardinal squares. So cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn will feel this the most, as well as Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius will be feeling these the most. And the mutable squares can feel these too. It's just not going to be as potent. It'll be more internal and even perhaps more behind the scenes. So they are not out of the water. We are all feeling this, trust and believe. It's just those signs are going to feel it the heaviest. They have the biggest transformations at this time. And so this is intense pressure to be honest about evolving and transforming that requires purging, shifts, and change that it's just uncomfortable. This can be resistance to change, but also knowing that we have to change. And I think that's going to be kind of the dichotomy that's going to be playing out is like, you need to do better, You still doing nigga shit and you know you shouldn't be doing that shit. And it's gonna be heavy. And depending on where you have this in your chart is going to be the expression of how that's going to come out. So for Aries people, it's you. Um, you're having this with others, with actual people. So I think it's gonna hit a little bit harder for Aries. And then I mean, meaning if you're having this in the first house, so first house is going to feel this because it's going to be directly related to you, your person, your body, your self-esteem, and how you show up in the world. If you're having this in the second house, this is definitely going to be your money and finances, savings, budgetings, and whatever banks you use, and whether you're a spend thrifter and or hoarder. Those things are going to come up as a challenge for you. So your values overall around those themes are going to be changing on a pretty big level. If you're having this in the third house, this is your transformation, your transportation, in any kind of short distance travel you do, deliveries and daily routines and expectations, and even your education. So learning and studying. But it doesn't have to be around education. Okay. You can be learning and studying whatever the heck you want. It just all depends on what you have in that house. Is gonna be how this shows up. This can even be working with your hands and becoming some kind of entrepreneur, or the way you communicate with people could be changing on a really big level. If you're having this in the fourth house, this is your home, your family, children, um, property, and your DNA, your bloodline. So generational things and trauma that has been passed down, this is going to hit you pretty heavily. And saying that, we'll also be feeling this between both Aquarius and Capricorn. I need to say that. So Pluto is currently in the sign of Aquarius. It will retrograde back into Capricorn this year and next year, but this year it's going to be a shorter period of time. Then it's going to move back into Aquarius from like the end of the year to um and then it's going to move back into Aquarius all the way through the year, and then again at the end of the year Pluto's going to move back into Capricorn before it officially hits Aquarius, and then that's it. So I have to say that. I know I've mentioned it before, but remember this is going to be affecting both your Capricorn and Aquarius area of life. Um, and so if you're having this in the fourth house is also the past, and reflecting on your emotions, your emotional responses and thought process. Um, Also, the fifth house is also education, but perhaps maybe more so for your children if you have them, how you have fun, um, having children, and any kind of creative entrepreneurial projects and investments, but like gambling. So this could probably be more towards the cryptos and that kind of thing, because those are considered gambling more so than it is investing. And also your bucket list, how your life looks as a retiree. Doesn't matter how old you are, okay? Um, but Leo is the retired person and how you show up. And Capricorn is how you plan for retirement. Okay, so I have to say that it could simply just be vacations, how you vacation, and whether or not you're doing that. But some way, shape, or form that can come up for you in the fifth house. The sixth house is health. work, again, daily routines and environments, litigations, enemies. And also this can be pets and um, any kind of work-life balance things come up here. As far as your health and how you manage that, um, and your daily vitamins, hygiene, and things of that nature, and your work environment. This could also be somebody who is an entrepreneur and who you hire for services to help you grow within your business. Seventh house is love, marriage, all relationships, contracts, agreements, business partnerships, mentorship, counseling, and legalities. So anything to do with the judicial system. Um, and it's also your social life and how you connect to others, how you relate to others. Um, and eighth house is more introspective, psychological conditioning from childhood, or just the world in general. Um, it's also doing the deep research it takes to transform that conditioning. So psychology, being some kind of detective, which is just research, um, being able to see things from a higher perspective, even though that's more Sagittarius. So Scorpio is the process in which it takes you to see a higher perspective. And Sagittarius is seeing from the higher perspective, but essentially we're talking about the same thing here. So doing a complete transformation, 360 and change around how you perceive things, what you put your energy towards, and who you give your energy to. This could also be studying any kind of divination, all the divinations, whatever is your poison, okay? Which is like astrology, tarot, and all that other stuff. Or you could just be studying psychology. And also finances, but finances to others. So the bills you pay, any government money you receive, insurances, debt, taxes, and things of that nature. And then the eighth house is long distance travel, culture, studying abroad, but it doesn't have to be. You could be having any kind of higher education here. So evolving in your knowledge, universal law, spiritual practice, religion, whatever your poison is, and morals and ethics. So growing and evolving within your morals and ethics, changing your worldview and philosophy. So how you um uh put those things out, or how you express those things in your daily life. Those things meaning your education and everything that I just said. And if you're having this in the 10th house, this is about becoming a boss or stepping down. So you could be retiring here. Depends on where you're at. Or your business can be evolving, or your public persona can be evolving. Maybe you're getting a higher position, higher pay, becoming more mature, getting more responsibilities, working harder, being disciplined in that. This could also be dealing with elderly parents and authority figures if you are not that. Um, and father figures, and yeah. And the 11th house are your friends, the events you attend. So more social life stuff here, your hopes and wishes, um, philanthropy, or somebody who supports your business, or the people who support your business, or your network, your net worth, the groups you belong to, and whether or not they are helping you transform and change in some kind of way is going to be a really big deal. So you could be letting go a lot of people who are kind of stuck in that victim mentality or having trouble changing while you're evolving. Or it's just one of those things where, you have those natural splits with friends at certain times. Everybody goes through it. And that could be what this time is for you, where you naturally um, drop a friendship due to your growth and evolution or your readiness to change and evolve, as opposed to theirs not or them not being on your level anymore, right? Things of that nature. And then the 12th house is the undoing, self undoing. Um, and it could be that toxic victim mentality, um, and really needing some psychological help. Um, this could be dealing with addictions, medications, lack of clarity and direction, and getting disciplined in that changing and transforming, stepping up to the plate, gaining the courage to change the things that you have control over and accepting the things that you do not. Um, this could also be spiritual practices and modalities that can help you understanding those things from a very ethereal level. So, on an unconscious level, so anything unconscious, you could be doing this through dreams, seeing signs and symbols. It could be from others. Pisces is the house where you're kind of sort of protected in a sense, and you could be seeing people change and they're coming to you telling you their life stories of the transformations that they're experiencing. And that could inadvertently challenge you to change a trauma. It could trigger your trauma. It really just depends on where you're at with it all. But essentially, those are the themes that can be coming up. Somebody can be hospitalized or go to prison, or you're putting yourself in some kind of mental prison, or again, on a higher expression, you're protecting your energy. It's kind of like a meditative state or dream state, where you might be sleeping more, resting more, relaxing more, not working as hard. Um, binge watching, escaping essentially, but it could be a vice. It doesn't always have to be a negative thing. It really just depends on how you're looking at it and whether or not it's helping you change and transform. That's going to be like the bottom line, right? So I hope that that was helpful. I just wanted to go through that quickly because I think it's important to know whatever house this is happening in for you, or whatever house you have Aquarius and Capricorn, those are going to be a lot of how those things can show up. And the nodes represent how we are collectively and individually growing. The North node is what we are bringing to our life creatively, what we are learning and stepping out of our comfort zone to create a stable foundation when it comes to finances and comfort. We're getting grounded in self-worth and values because we still have the North Node in Taurus. So these are going to be very Taurian themes as well as the Aries themes. And it's kind of giving us courage and confidence to tackle those things or build them, because Taurus is essentially about building the I am, right? Aries comes first. We're kind of doing it backwards because essentially um the north and south node are the only ones that run counterclockwise. Everything else is no, the nodes run clockwise. Everything else is counterclockwise. I hope I said that right. A better way to describe that is the north nodes are always in, um, I mean, they do go direct, but for the most part, they operate um, in retrograde. So they're moving in the opposite direction essentially all the time. Um, and so we're a little bit backwards, but essentially you work with the I am and you're figuring out what that is, getting clear about that. And then in Taurus, your Taurus helps you build that and grow within that, what I am or who you are. Um, So a lot of the tourist themes, just as a reminder, is banking, wealth, currency, food, and agriculture that we're going to see a lot more of, especially coming into tourist season. And again, if you want more Aries themes, feel free to go check out the Aries themes. But I've been talking about this stuff for a long time, so I'm pretty sure you guys have a pretty good idea of what that is. Now, the South Node is in Scorpio, and this transit is the ruler of Scorpio, which is Pluto. And so this aspect is a lot stronger. I talked about this in my last video, not to mention the Aries energy is stronger because we've already had two new moons in Aries. Well, this one coming up will be the second in Aries, which is on the 20th or 21st. Um, and then the Scorpio South Node is also ruled by Mars, which is still that Aries energy. So this is gonna be tenfold. I'd be remiss if people weren't feeling this right now. Um, and so Pluto is saying, I'm gonna cause some trouble. I'm gonna stir up your fears. I'm gonna pull all the skeletons out of the closet that have been keeping you from progressing. This process becomes something that is um, completing so that you deeply understand what needs to change. And unfortunately, and oftentimes that can come up in some pretty intense and uncomfortable ways. But essentially, again, Pluto is that Scorpio energy, and Scorpio is about um, bringing chaos, burns it down so that you can rise back up to be reborn again in a more healthier, clearer way. And so this is essentially so you can understand your fears, what's no longer emotionally fulfilling, the karma you're holding on to, or that's holding you back, and what your personal power is. I did a short story time video talking about the illusion of power and how we have to fight with that. Another way that I think we can see this coming up, and I'll do another video on this as well, because I think it's super important, is religion and the belief in like somebody like me saying, go do a vision board. And then we're not taking it so seriously to the point that we're not manifesting, and it's only because we're not real believers. And so I did talk about this in my Aries video because I do feel like this is solely going to be put on us now. Pluto and Aquarius was like, you got to wake up to the culture that has been kind of brewing these ideologies around what is considered progressive and new age or culture. And I think we're going to get some really big blasts of reality checks around how we've manifested, and we just don't know how powerful we are, right? So, essentially, on a grand scale, this is about understanding who you are and how powerful you are and how much you manifest. So I always use the example of, if you just closed your eyes for a minute and thought what this world would look like if you didn't do business with any of these corporate businesses and you only did business with the people in your culture, do you still think that they would have all the power that they do? Again, look at BRICS and just use that as an example to see how much power they're taking away from America and how this is causing such an uproar, which it shouldn't be, by the way, but that's the power and control that we're going to see even within ourselves, is how much we give our power away, and we allowed ourselves to be sold this idea of the illusion of power, and we got to break free from that. And again, unfortunately, that's going to come up in some very uncomfortable ways when you look in the mirror. It's like you're doing that to yourself if you strongly and truly believe that God is real, or that you have some kind of religious, believing in a higher power, right? Or like I used in that in the story time video, if you believe as above, so below, as within, so without, we wouldn't even be stressing about these people and whatever they're saying, because that's their problem. It don't got nothing to do with us. But because we're so tied up in creating their reality through their beliefs, their eyes, and their um, culture, yeah, we are entangled with them, which is very much about what Scorpio energy rules. And so we have to untangle with them. And that doesn't have to be entirely and completely, just so that we can have our own sovereignty, Aquarius, and our own power, Pluto. But we can still do business with them once we get ourselves straight, get our home, our body, our home, and our family in order, which is all of what we were learning, whether we uh, seen it that way or not, all during 2020. It's exactly what it was showing us, is how our home is fucked up, our family's fucked up, and what we really don't have, and we got to get back into our control. And so I can talk about that all day, but this is already going to be a really long video. So I got some more. I've been working on a bunch of different work. If you're not following me, family, on IG, I'm posting like crazy over there right now. I got more stuff to come on Pluto. I'm going to break it down from an esoteric perspective because I think that's just where we're at right now. If we keep focusing on these little smaller issues, it's still keeping us stuck. And we just have to understand that that's how energy works. And so it's not so much about getting such into a deep conversation about what is happening, but decoding and understanding what the underlying issue is instead, right? Because when you get stuck on something that's irrelevant, that's that fixed energy that keeps you in a loop and you're not progressing and moving forward. You're not really solving problems. And essentially, that's what the system that's been set up is. It's predicated to. Doesn't mean that you can't get out. That's what we have to understand. We do have the power to get out. You got to remember that. I'm going to say it again. You do have the power to get out. I'm going to say it one more time. You do have the power to get out. You just have to see that for yourself. And so a lot of those things are going to come up in ways that can be very, very, very uncomfortable. And so this process becomes, something that you have to understand your fears, what's holding you back, person in power. We can feel a strong pull between the past and the future because the South Node is the past, North Node is the future. Um, and we can feel the pressure in that and within Capricorn and Aquarius. We'll be confronting old trauma, wounds, patterns, and behaviors that are holding us back. Fear can be a huge topic, especially around dreaming big, achieving your goals, and connecting with others. I've been yelling at y'all about that connection shit for a long time now. So I ain't even gonna go there today. But y'all know how I feel about that whole dark night of the soul, Scorpio energy. It's only for a moment. Don't make it forever. Okay. You're supposed to learn tools from that dark night of the soul so then you can come out and stand your ground firmly with your feet planted firmly on the ground because the higher vibration of Scorpio says, I don't give a fuck what's going on around me. You can't budge me. I can see, I can read between the lines. I know who I am. And it's that Phoenix rising, when she rises up from the top and she's looking up and like, keep talking, like, okay, I seen you, nigga. It's on your nose. Right. And so we have to again step into that power of knowledge of knowing the difference of what arguments and disputes and disagreements to have those conversations. What are we going to keep having those conversations, or are we going to start to see them as the distractions that they are? And that's going to change the conversation to a lot more personal accountability. And it's going to hurt. Like, no bullshit. It's going to hurt. Like, I remember when I was first doing my spiritual, getting on my spiritual journey, and they like, oh, you can't eat this, you can't do that, you can't. I'm like, damn. So what the fuck? I can't do nothing no more. And yeah, just enough to change. It doesn't mean that you can't ever go back to those things. But again, it's going to be like when the time is right. You know what I'm saying? And if it's benefiting your spiritual growth. Like I remember listening to all the old heads doing the videos on, these kind of esoteric things, and they still ate unhealthy and blah 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 blah. But it was the difference between knowing too, and how often you do it. Like I remember Dr. Delbert Blair gave the best example. He made me feel like a real human being. I was like, oh my God. So I'm not a piece of shit because I ate that chicken. Dr. Deborah Blair would be like, yeah, in my house where I cook vegan. I eat healthy. But when I go out to these events and I'm teaching and I'm doing other things, I'm not bringing any food. I eat whatever they got. I'm not going to starve myself. That's ignorant. And so you got to gauge how and when to do those lower expressions of things, and with the right heart, and Libra's weighing out the decisions to make a judgment call. You know what I mean? And that's where your heart and is making the difference between whether or not you're on the right track or not. And I can talk about that all day, so I'm moving right along. Um, so yeah, top fear is going to be a huge topic around those things. Scorpio is the financial access, our collective money, um, our collective investments, mortgages, loans, stock market, criminal activity, toxicity, and betrayal. And then the higher expressions again is the phoenix rising, the transformation to something more beneficial to your spiritual growth. Um, and then we have the squares. Again, we'll be experiencing the fixed squares now until July. Um, and squares are just the feeling of tension, conflict, and obstacles. And the fixed squares are related to tension and conflict related to holding on to things, resisting change, being stubborn, controlling, jealous, and possessive. I'm afraid of change, loss, letting go, starting over, death, not having enough, and trauma. It can also bring up financial problems, the money we owe, exchanges we have with others, joint assets, taxes, insurances, and inheritances. This is also our resources, our values, the money we have, the banks we use, our possessions, and food. This could also be what is changing around how we make money. And then you got to pay attention to the politics and the governments and what changes they make that might affect these goals and changes that we're going through. That's going to be a big, big, big one. And then the cardinal squares bring tension and conflict around taking action, initiating new projects, and asserting ourselves in the world. There can be issues with control, power struggles, and patience. This is very boss-like, busy movement, action, energy. These are going to be the leaders in the world who are going to be pushed to lead, who will be helping um, or challenging the fixed signs with their resistance and change, and how to transmute that energy. So a lot of these issues can come up with cardinal signs. So it could be fixed signs against cardinal signs, and people can be in different roles at different times. People can be high level, low levels, and mix it up. Like I'm just telling you what the cardinal energy represents and the fixed energy represents, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't run into a fixed energy that isn't in their boss like energy. It depends on how that person is growing and evolving on their spiritual journey. That's going to make all of the difference. And so these things are interchangeable. Really, you should be just focusing on yourself and how you're showing up. But again, just to give you an example, nothing's set in stone. We have all 12 signs in our chart, not just, sun, moon, and rising. So you got to keep in mind that those things are playing out, and not everybody is in their lower expression. And even if these challenges are coming up, they already have tools and such on how to deal with them, whether they're going to deal with you in that energy or not. So that's going to make all the difference, and that's all that matters. And then Pluto and Aquarius, once you put and mix all of these together, can look like the masses going through a transformation of consciousness and change, things falling apart to be reborn. We can see power struggles, fear, corruption, death, and a lot of topics about the future, especially when it comes to technology, progress, and human connection. We're essentially embracing innovative ways to change socially. Pluto and Aquarius highlights our choices, how we obtain those choices, if they're coming from a false sense of power, if we're entangled in others' energy, power and control, gains, manipulation, betrayal, jealousy, trauma, abuse in social structures and systems. I cannot express enough how I think this is going to bring in new political parties, new social um I don't know if you would still call them parties or social circles or social groups. Um, and the old ones kind of falling down because where people have lost faith in those, because we've seen over time that they're not actually really helping us, right? And so we could start to build those within ourselves and our own communities on a smaller grassroots level, and all different facets. Okay. Anything that you feel like is needed, spark that shit, with a healthy heart. Um, um, and Fixed energy stays in things long past its expiration date. And so that's what we're kind of fighting through. And so we might be learning these things about ourselves through the choices that we make. Um, and that's kind of the south node, and we're seeing the transformation into the north node. And so we're recognizing that we need others, but are they lifting us up or dragging us down? And Pluto and Aquarius is giving you the power to be something different. I cannot stress this enough. How do you be who you are unapologetically within a group or a collective? You'll be challenged around that, especially with that Libra Aries access. Libras can be people pleasing. And so, on a collective level, we have got to release those lower expressions to want to be a part of everything for everyone but ourselves in the South with the Libra and South. That shit's going to be fucking huge. Um, Plus with the Scorpio energy, we're letting go that darker side of ourselves that kind of keeps us from even knowing if that's an issue for us in the first place. So Aries gives us the courage to step up and say, hey, this is what we need. And a lot of the issues can come through the Taurus energy, like, damn, I don't got no food. If I don't know these people, then how do I get to eat? Type of stuff. And I'm using such a small window of example when I tell you this could happen in hundreds and thousands of different ways. It's not even funny. Um, but essentially, we're gonna go through this fall of the Taurus energy resources in such a way that's going to say, shit, I need that person. And so you're going to change your mind on how you deal with others, or you're going to die, uh, either literally or metaphorically, perish away, because you're not growing and evolving, or because you're not taking a risk or challenging yourself, Aries, right? Um, la, 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 la. um, we are also given the power to step away from the crowd and go our own way. And I think this could be another thing that could be taken way too far and way out of context. We got way too many people talking about what they finna do on their own while not thinking about it in the right way. But when we're talking about energy, um, knowing when to step away without feeling bad about it. Um, knowing when you're like spending too much time with a group of people or one person or whatever, and it's consuming who you are. So you have to pay attention and check in, like, still feeling like me and doing the things that I want to? Am I still happy and growing within my evolutionary process? And the moment you feel that you're not, again, instead of those lower vibrations of saying jealousy, hate, envy, and let's move away from those brandings, I guess you can call them, or those tag names, and just say it's important for people to have that alone time when they feel that they need it, so that they can recharge their batteries in order to continuously stay and be who they want to be or they need to be to grow and evolve. I hope that made sense. Um, it's given us the power to not feel obligated to others. A lot of people will have life changes, especially if you have a lot of fixed energy. It's going to be a little bit harder, but nonetheless, change is going to happen. And unfortunately, these can all be last minute changes in situations that come up. Again, that just might be uncomfortable. So be prepared, be ready, be open, step up to the to the challenge. Don't back down. Put on your armor on, your warrior outfit on, and be like, I got this, yo. You don't know me, son. No, let me stop. But as usual, family, I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.